With the most recent ban list, how good is Kewl actually? Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Kewl with the most recent ban list update, putting Rotary to 1, Mixed to 2, and Reco to 2. We're going to go over my thoughts on it. This is taken from Pack's list, kind of, and adapted for the most recent metagame, with the addition of both Purge and Impulse as additional ways to basically hand trap the opponent, or kind of be used as like Solemns going first. So that's generally the idea. But we're going to go quickly over the card by card. First and foremost, we're playing significantly fewer Kewl tunes. Gee, I wonder why. We have 4 less copies of names, that being the 2 Rotaries and the 1 Mix and 1 Reco that we no longer have access to. So, of course, we're playing the 1, the 2, and the 2. And then we're still playing 1 clip, and we're still playing the 3 Q. And we're playing instead 1 extra copy of Genesis and 1 extra copy of JJ Kewl tune. I had trouble kind of choosing what to play. I think one of the big downsides that the ban list has had is that Pot of Desires is basically unplayable in this deck now because you can't banish Rotary. I guess you technically could. You could get away with that, right? But it is a lot weaker for, you know, potentially banishing Rotary, though it might still be worth playing. So there's that. That being said, as far as the rest of the cards go, I mean, it's pretty much just all non-engine in a sense. All of the tuners are technically engine because of the JJ Kewl tune, as well as Duelist Genesis, giving us access to those additional synchros. But other than that, it is pretty much just the standard tuner list, right? 3 Valor, 3 Ghostspell, 3 Ash. That's it. We're also playing, of course, the 1 Max C, and that's it for our monsters. We're only playing 19. You could play more. Not 100% certain post-ban list what to do or where to go specifically. I think like Ghost Mourner might be worthwhile. Ghost Ogre might be worthwhile. Kind of depends on how the meta shakes out, but for the most part, I feel like this is... we'll talk about it later, but there you go, 19 monsters. As for the spells, we have the Synchro Overtake as well as the 2 Duelist Genesis. I'm also playing a second JJ Kewl tune because it's another way to get our tuners into Kewl tune monsters, which does come up quite a bit. I actually really liked playing 2 of this. I think if I played a third, it would be a bit problematic because I really didn't want to draw it and other spells. Like I wanted to draw it and a tuner. And so playing extra copies of JJ could have been a little bit more problematic with other like non-tuners. So maybe you could play 3 of it. I don't know. I don't like the idea of it, but I think playing 2 was pretty nice. We have the one called by the 3 Kewl tune Synchro as well, and then the 3 Fallen and the Virtuous. Yeah, you could cut this down to 2 and then play an additional like tuner, extender, or something of that nature. As for the traps, 3 Infip, 3 Purge, 3 Impulse. There you go. Looking at the extra deck, it's pretty simple. We're playing the Fallen and the Virtuous targets in Ecclesia and the Albion. We're also playing it to a piece of Trackmaker, Remix, and RS, as well as Loudness War, and then the 1 Crackle and back-to-back. Obviously, as Alien, we're also playing Shooting Riser. This one could probably be cut. The reason for this was because of Retaliating C, not Retaliating. Contact C. Your opponent would give you a Contact C, and then you'd have to be able to synchro it off. Otherwise, you couldn't use it your extra deck. So, yeah, you could probably cut this. I don't think it's too necessary, but I don't think it's too... I never noticed having it. Like, I don't think I ever summoned more than 1 of any of these guys. So there's that. And then we have the Typhon as well. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how the deck performed. Alrighty, here we are going second. And one thing I will say is that post-ban list and pre-ban list Kewl tune still feels very similar. Like, this is a hand you would see in Kewl tune regardless of pre or post ban list. But I will say, actually playing out the games and like seeing the hands over and over and over again, I have noticed that it is a little bit more inconsistent, which is like the conceit of the idea. I'm not a big fan of consistency hits because if there's a problem card, just ban the card, right? As far as consistency, I find it more problematic due to the fact that it is less impactful for the person playing against it, whereas it is more impactful for the person playing it. So it kind of feels worse in both aspects, because for the person playing against it, they're still going to notice that they got their hand looked at and, you know, wasn't able to stop the opponent because they drew the rotary, or they were able to search the rotary, or special summon it, or whatever it may be. And for the person playing the deck, they're going to notice after time that, like, their deck's more inconsistent. It's more frustrating to, like, oh, now I get hand trapped more often and like I'm incapable of playing the game, as opposed to like playing the game and having that back and forth. It's more a matter of like, oh, my deck just didn't do what it was designed to do anymore, and that can be frustrating. So regardless, we were able to purge. They didn't really have any follow-up, and then we drew the imperm, so we can imperm here. And while purge may seem kind of counterintuitive due to the fact that, like, oh, it cuts off half of your deck, same thing with impulse, right? The thing is that you can play with half of your deck more or less turned off, right? Like here, I don't need to access Recco or any of the darks to activate their effects. I can just go through the rest of the line. I can go through Mix, I can go through Rotary, I can go through Q, I can still go through Trackmaker, I can go into an RS if I want to, just as like a big beater, and then I can kind of control the duel from there. So that's kind of the idea there. Our opponent is going to Ash on the Q. Makes sense. I probably would do the same, but that's okay. I mean, we still have the field spell, but we're going to go for the Duelist Genesis. We're going to grab the Overtake. We're going to activate the effect of the Overtake and summon out the Mix. We're going to activate the effect of the Mix. They're going to attempt to negate and then activate their Quick Play, which would be able to Fusion Summon. I don't know why they didn't Fusion Summon on the previous turn, because they technically had the ability to do that with the Kawaki Maru Guardian up. So my Ghost Spell wouldn't have done anything, but okay, sure. Anyway, I Ghost Spell, and they just concede. I mean, I still have, again, a whole bunch of things. Pretty similar to previously. Alrighty, here we are once again going first. Sorry, this time we're going first. And we have a pretty stellar hand. We once again drew the JJ Kewl tune. So we're going to start off here with the Mix to grab the Q. We did also draw the one of Rotary, so we're going to start off with the Rotary of Real Q. Wow, crazy. Who would guess? We're going to summon out the Ash, since we don't really have any other hand traps. Might as well. We're going to go for Trackmaker here, activate the effect of the Q and the Rotary and the Trackmaker. They haven't activated anything up until this point, and so generally speaking, it's just like, all right, I'll get the additional advantage of being able to stack your deck while knowing your hand. So there you go. I don't really need to chain block here. We're going to add the JJ Kewl tune, or the Kewl tune Synchro. We're going to look at the hand and add another Kewl tune Synchro. The notable thing in there was that they had 2 of one Inea craft name, a third of a second name. Yeah, they had 2 of the same name and another Inea craft name. And they had the Thrust. And I think they had another spell. Oh, Reverb was the last spell. And then we have the Fissure and the second name being repeated. So they have 2 of the same name twice. So they can't use both of those with their search effects. So that's kind of the idea. So I attack that. We're also going to go for the Synchro Overtake and go into the Recco. Recco effect is going to add to the hand the clip, and then we can Synchro off into Remix. We're going to set 3 and pass the turn. We basically have to use the Zaline on the Thrust. So that is something to keep in mind. Our opponent's going to set a card, then go for the effect of their monster in hand to potentially set an additional card. They're going to flip up the activation here, which is going to attempt to add a card. We're going to Imperm, prevent that from happening, and add back the Ash, as well as special summon the Recco. They do get to set here, and then we're just going to add the Mix back to the hand. They're going to activate the effect there, and because I know they activate the second name, I know that this effect, which by the way, none of these effects are once per turn. So the effect that says when your opponent activates an effect that would special summon a monster, or that has the effect to special summon a monster, you can flip it up to add a card. I know that they don't have another one of that, so I now know that the other card that they have is this one, which says when your opponent activates a monster effect in hand, you can activate the effect to add an Neocraft. So I go, cool, I don't need to activate a card effect in hand, right? So I can just kind of forego that until this card leaves the field, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the quick play. We're going to go into the RS, which is just kind of here for kicks and giggles. But now we are going to pop both the spell as well as the monster, and I know what the monster is, so that's going to go away. They're going to activate this card effect again. Then they're going to go for the triple attack, which I will promptly negate, knowing that they only have the Rebirth left, so they can activate the Rebirth, which is nice. They can shuffle away a card, and then I see that they set a card, and I know that the game is pretty much over. Had they had another new name, they could have potentially done something there, except for the fact that if they go and activate the effect of their Pendulum to potentially search something, we could Ash, they could respond, and then we could just negate it with Zaleen. So they're still pretty much locked out of the game at that point. They go for the Dimensional Barrier, I just chain, they negate with the Zaleen, and they're locked out of the duel. Good game. Alrighty, here we are going up first, and hand's pretty good. Let's see what we can accomplish. We're going to start off here with the Rekko. We're going to activate the effect, promptly get Ash. Tragic. We'll go for the Duelist Genesis here in order to grab the Overtake, activate the effect of the Overtake. We are going to special summon the Mix, activate the Mix, grab Rotary, and then we can activate the Cool Tune Synchro. Since they haven't interacted, we're going to go for the Q. We're going to activate the effect of the Q. We're going to grab the Bell, and then we're going to Synchro off into the Track Maker. We're going to look at the hand. We're going to draw or search a card. I grabbed JJ. I shouldn't have. I don't know why I grabbed JJ here. It doesn't make any sense. I should have grabbed the quick play. Yeah, I had already gone through all the names. The JJ Cool Tune doesn't do anything here. That's just a mistake. It's Sky Striker. They have 2 spells, one of them being Engage, and one of them being the other draw spell. Oh, sorry, they had 3 spells. They had Fallen in the Virtuous, the draw spell, Vision, and the Engage. Now, the problem is that if they have another spell, the Engage becomes a massive problem. But let's look at what did they give me off the top here. So they reveal Super Poly and Maxi. Well, here's the thing. I can't really give either of these cards to our opponent. It will be highly detrimental for us because, one, if we give them the Super Poly, they will Super Poly our board and get an additional spell. And if I give them Maxi, it basically just eats our Ash Blossom. So, balls. But 2, if I give them a random card, it could be an additional copy of something that they already have, like maybe a Vision or a Fallen in the Virtuous, or it could be a second Engage, which could be even more detrimental. There's not really a good option for us, so I just elect to give them the Maxi and just be like, okay, like I can play into that, and there's not a whole lot of options for them. We'll see. So I elect to give them the Maxi. I think it's better than the Unknown, but the amount of times I've revealed a Maxi off the top is too many. Because, quite frankly, it shouldn't exist. Anyway, we're going to set 2, and just imagine if I had the other quick play. I don't know. Kind of silly of me. Regardless, they're going to activate the Vision. I just Ash it. I'm like, no, I can't have you getting additional cards. Not allowed. No. Coolio. From here, we're going to activate the effect of the Remix, which will then prompt them to activate the Fallen and the Virtuous. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could activate something here, but if I activate, they just go for the Maxi. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Sure, I will let that resolve. If you want to respond with Maxi so that I can negate it, great, you can do that. Or I am getting this resolution. So we're going to add the Rekko here to add the clip, and then just pass it to our opponent. They're going to go for the Engage. They basically have to grab the Ray here. They don't really have anything else, right? Like, they've activated all of their spells. I think the last card in hand is another Ash Blossom. So they could theoretically, like, normal summon Ash Blossom and use that in some capacity. I don't know if they play Al Mirage or something of that nature. But, you know, they basically have to draw the Ray. They're going to go for the Ash. I'm like, that's fine. We're going to go for the Clip. They're going to be... They're going to activate the Maxi. I'm like, okay, I do have Ghost Bell and Impulse. It could work. Right? So I go for the Clip. And I do elect to Synchro, and the reason for this is because RS gives us an additional negation, so that was kind of the idea there. Like, if they go to combat here, because that was what they were attempting to do, if they go to combat here, what we can do is just Impulse the activation of the Ray, and then they're kind of locked out of really anything effective. I guess they could go... They would have to have Quick Play Spell and Linkage for them to be able to do anything. They do end up attempting to activate the Vision. They already activated it, so they can't get the additional effect, or they can't get the Draw 2 effect, which I think is what they were going for. But had they had that and a Linkage, I do just kind of lose the game there and can't really do anything. So, oopsie poopsie. Good game. All right, and here we are going second, and this is one of the few hands where Clip is actually pretty advantageous because we did end up drawing the Reco, and it has application both for the effect of the Reco and for the effect of the RS, which we'll see here in a second. But this is something that's just going to be more uncommon because drawing both Reco and Clip is just going to be less common because Reco's limited, or more limited, right? So there's that. We're going to go for the Clip. We're going to banish. We're also going to pop the set card. And because they are level modulated, it's level 5 now, which means that this guy does not get the ability, or basically can't go into the Link 1 because it's level 4 or lower. It's kind of silly. But yeah, they're going to go for the Maiden here, and I'm like, that's A-okay. They're going to go for the True Light. They're going to activate the effect of the True Light. I will promptly negate it. I don't want them activating anything else. I mean, I could potentially, like, Ash for something. Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. We're just going to negate. They'll activate the Ether Barrel and dump the Blue Eyes. I'm like, cool. And then, of course, what do I draw off the top but Rotary? We're going to activate the effect of the Rotary. We're going to special summon out the Q, or normal summon out the Q. We're going to activate the Q effects. They're going to Ash. Sure, doesn't really matter. We get to do our line here to go for the Track Maker, and at this point, our opponent concedes. I just wanted to show, like, you still get to do the Clip thing, and it was kind of funny how advantageous having Clip and Reco in hand was. All right, we're back with the deck. Now, obviously, the Phydralis Harmonia is going to show up within Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It just got announced, right? That being said, this deck is, even with Harmonia, I don't think this deck is going to be as dominant as it was in the WCQ. Quite frankly, it never was, right? Especially in ranked, right? It has a lot more weaknesses, specifically for a diverse metagame, like a ladder system would have, right? Sure, my Veilers and Imperms happen to do good into some matchups, but they're also terrible in others and can be highly detrimental, especially if I don't know what deck my opponent is playing. Cool Tune really has a massive advantage if you know what deck your opponent is playing, and if you have games 2 or 3 to kind of side out bad hand traps or bad non-engine, right? The big advantage Cool Tune has in general with card design is the fact that it's non-engine, such as Ash, Veilers, Imperms, well, more specifically Ash, Veiler, Bell, and other such tuner hand trap monsters, is that they can use those tuners to basically be additional pieces of engine, right? So while, yes, I do have a small number of Cool Tunes, I still have a lot of ways to access additional engine because of things like Duelist Genesis, of JJ Cool Tune, of Synchro Overtake, there's even one called Overtune. Let me see if I can find it. Overtuning, sorry. Which also does something if you control a tuner. So there's like additional things that you can do because you get to use both your engine, or sorry, your non-engine as both your engine and your non-engine. So that's kind of nice. However, if your non-engine is bad, you are missing half of your card, basically, right? And you still are forced to play these cards. You can't just, like, not play them, right? And it's like, cool, yeah, Ash and Ghost Bell and Veiler aren't exactly great against, like, Elf Note. Or, you know, they're not great against, like, what is it? Orchist. Or Yummy, or something of that nature, right? And so, overall, Cool Tune, I think, has never really been that great for climbing, I think there's always been better options. Like right now, I think Branded is fantastic for climbing right now. Draco Tail is fantastic. Vanquish Hole is fantastic. Radiant Typhoon is fantastic. And all of these, I think, are just better options than Cool Tune, especially post Banlist. And I think Harmonia will make it easier to kind of disrupt the opponent, but I don't think it will make it a better deck per se, or like a better option for climbing, because while Harmonia is a good interruption, it's not always going to be applicable, right? If our opponent, if the opponent is activating a whole bunch of spells and a whole bunch of traps, or just like not activating a card on field, or activating in chain, like with the Draco Tail cards or something of that nature, Harmonia is just gonna sit in hand and stare at the opponent, right? It's not going to be applicable in every matchup, right? Similar in nature to a myriad of hand traps, and not being able to like side it out or prepare for a specific metagame where you know it's going to be useful, I think does hinder the deck overall. That being said, still a great deck. It's still very strong, and it's going to still be playable, obviously. But it is a noticeable decrease in the quality. And yeah, having one rotary does matter. It came up quite a few times. We're just like not drawing cool tunes. Ended up costing me a bunch of games. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, like us very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.